Hey, what's up everyone? Just wanted to mention if you needed a safe place to purchase your precious metals with weekly discount specials and overall great prices with a massive inventory from a company that has an A+ on the Better Business Bureau, then I got you. Call or email me, slayer@milesfranklin.com. Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are about to be diving into what's happening around the world that is directly affecting the price of silver and why. So make sure you guys subscribe because I do this on a daily basis. You will always be up to date with the newest uncensored news. Silver price forecast. Silver eyes weekly gain amid strong U.S. economic data. First, let's dive into silver's price. Right now, we are at $22.82. Let's go to the today chart. Obviously, this is ending into the weekend, but then it's a little bit of a downfall. If you look at the week, we are in an uptrend though. So looks can be deceiving. If you want to get a bigger perspective, look at the 3-month chart. Look at the 1-year chart. This is where you can really see it's an up and down movement, topping at $26. A lot of resistance there, but also a lot of support around $23, which is good since that is still fairly high for the price of silver. If you're someone who's newer, you might not think that because you're desensitized to the price of silver staying this high consistently for the last couple of years, but that's not what the norm has been if you're someone who's been stacking for as long as I have, where the average price is around $14, $15 an ounce. So me looking at $23 at the bottom, as you know, at the very bottom is still pretty high. So regardless, my perspective versus yours on desensitization of silver's price isn't the point of this video. We're going to be looking at silver's resilient shines as it heads for weekly gains despite a strengthening U.S. economy, U.S. dollar, and lower gold prices. This was written today. It is fresh off the press. Here's some of the key points. Silver is set for weekly advance despite robust U.S. economy. Investor interest spikes in silver's favorable price range. Fed meeting outcome crucial for silver's short-term direction. And this is a big one. This is why you got to be subscribed, because this is the stuff that I'll cover that's really important. We're actually going to be diving into another article in a second as well that was written yesterday, but it's looking at silver's support, which I was just mentioning, how it stays right about 23, doesn't drop too much lower. So let's look at this first, though, because this is the economic strength. Silver's heading towards a weekly gain, contrasting with a resilient U.S. economy that maintains the dollar near multi-week highs. This economic strength might be tempering silver's potential, especially as rate cut expectations get pushed further into the year. See, despite this, silver is outpacing gold, largely due to its appeal as a relatively inexpensive investment. And in my opinion, silver is going to really start outperforming gold in the coming months because gold has exploded. The volcano has erupted. It's at all-time highs. Silver's volcano has not exploded yet. It's not even half of its all-time high, and silver does follow gold. The gold to silver ratio is in the 90s, 91 to 1. Meaning it takes 91 ounces of silver to equal an ounce of gold. Right now isn't the time to be buying gold. Right now is the time to be buying silver. You want to buy something that's undervalued, under the value. Gold is at the highest price it's ever been. Not saying that $2,000 gold is overvalued. I'm saying that if you want to get into something, get in when it is extremely cheap, under the value, especially looking at or trying to compare the gold to silver ratio, which is naturally 16 to 1 for thousands of years coming out of the Earth's crust, 7 to 1. So once that ratio stabilizes, that means the ratio would be going downwards from 91 downwards to 70s, which is the average. So if it goes down, that means silver is outperforming gold. So logistically, if we're going to look at this thing, then it makes sense that silver will be the metal to start rising beyond gold, especially given the other dynamics around silver's potential. Gold is still a great investment, but just looking at the markets realistically, that's what's most likely going to happen. But who knows the timeline of that? silver's volcano has not erupted yet. Economic growth and inflation data actually missed something up here as well. So, here's the price range. Investor interest in silver, particularly within the $22 to $21.84 range, has been noticeable. The market is now watching to see if this interest can propel prices to the $23.75 threshold, which could trigger a strong rally, or if prices will fall back into lower 20s. Economic growth, inflation data, U.S. economy is faster than expected growth in the fourth quarter, with the 3.3% annualized increase in GDP is coupled with subdued inflationary pressures. Despite robust consumer spending, inflation measures like the core PCE price index have shown only moderate increases, suggesting that inflationary concerns might not be as pressing as previously thought. Then we have the labor market and Federal Reserve's policy. Recent labor market data showing an uptick in jobless claims, along with controlled inflation, implying that the Federal Reserve might maintain its current policy stance. The market is now focusing on the upcoming Fed meeting and Chair Jerome Powell comments, with high likelihood of a rate cut being deferred to May. And you guys know every time there's, the weeks or the days leading up to an FOMC meeting when Federal Chairman Jerome Powell comes out and says XYZ, that's a very high volatility time for silver because there's so much FOMO and so much speculation, which you guys know I hate that S word. Something like speculation should be left for the things that don't have intrinsic value within themselves, that rely more on the fundamentals determining its price strength. So in the short term, silver prices may benefit from these market conditions, with lower interest rates potentially reducing the opportunity cost of holding silver. However, the metal's future price movements will be heavily influenced by the Fed's policy direction and ongoing economic indicators. So this is here is the roundup of this article. I like these last final thoughts. Trader reaction to this area will go a long way, and that's $23.60, whether this current rally has legs or it will fizzle out, leading to more downside pressure. So here is silver continuing to look supported, and the silver market rallied again on the day of Thursday. We are still near the bottom of the overall consolidation area that should define this market. So I like that, silver does have a lot of support, like I said, above 22. And it does look cheap, which could also spark more investor interest. Both ways, honestly. Silver drops lower than the core stackers. You and I buy more because it's at a discount, but then when it starts to rise, the other people that need that confirmation or that validation that silver can go higher also jump on board. For example, the $22 level underneath is a major support level, while the $26 level above is a major resistance barrier. And at this point in time, I do think that the short-term pullbacks offer buying opportunity. And you best guarantee when it breaks around, or when it gets around $25, $26, there's going to be huge buying as well. So at this point in time, I do think that short-term pullbacks offer buying opportunity. This is a market, as long as we stay above the $22 level, should be thought of as one is that a value play. And silver will, of course, be very sensitive to interest rates in the U.S. and other places as well, and could be sniffing out the idea that perhaps central banks will have to start cutting rates. But also sensitive to the U.S. dollar, negative correlation with both of those. There's also industrial demand that comes into the picture, and that's much more than gold. So although it does tend to follow the same trajectory over time, and of course it is considered to be a precious metal, it's also considered to be an industrial metal as well. And that, of course, has its own influence. And that's really where I was talking about earlier, silver taking its own life. Regardless of what gold is doing, silver could be rising. Even if gold is staying relatively low, or in a bear market, silver could be in its own separate bull market because of the industrial side. It's the best of both worlds. It's real money that goes with the inevitable collapse of the dollar working for it, but also this industrial side where there's a huge shortage or supply deficits that broke records this year and expected to break more records next year, and as many years on as we could think, as the demand is only going to keep rising while supply is diminishing. So that's one of the biggest causes or effects to silver's price, because investing 101, low supply, high demand, pushes the price up. Fundamentals. Back to the fundamentals, especially with something that has intrinsic value within itself. Meaning, no matter who says the 1 ounce coin is worth what is irrelevant, because the coin's value is the 1 ounce of silver inside of it, not the price tag. Where most other things, it's the price tag, but silver is silver. That's the value itself. Ultimately, I just think that we are cheap when you look at the overall range, so a pullback here should offer a nice buying opportunity. And yeah, if you think that $22, $24, even $26 is pricey for an ounce of silver, unless you're comparing it to like your own personal dollar per ounce average, maybe it looks pricey if you're used to buying at $17, $18, $19. But in general, if you think $26 is pricey for an ounce of silver, that you're not willing to pay that because it's just too much, thinking that $26 is worth more than an ounce of silver, then you probably shouldn't be investing, because $26 is, I mean, silver, who knows really what the price of silver could be or should be, but I can tell you very confidently that it is a lot more than $26. So I do like this last part. Ultimately, I think that it is more or less of a situation where it is steady as she goes, and that's what it needs to happen. If it just skyrockets, here's the 20-year chart. Actually, let's go back even farther. I didn't know you could do that. Okay, let's go to all time. Huge spikes, right? Do you notice something with both spikes? They skyrocket and then crash. This is what I'm talking about when he says steady as she goes, because if not, it will crash, and usually lower than where it started. If it just goes up, up, up without building any price stability, without the price stabilizing, then it's going to shoot down. If it gradually goes up, there's better chance for when it does hit that overbought territory and that correction happens, that pullback, which always happens after a huge rally, then it might not fall too hard, because there's the price is stabilizing gradually, up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little more. But this is from the Hunt brothers trying to corner the market. Well, they didn't try to. They just bought up a whole bunch of silver on the COMEX and turned it into physical delivery, exposing the silver facade where there's more paper contracts than physical metal. And then the government had to ban silver to stop these guys, because the whole silver market was about to get exposed, that there's a huge shortage. And that's what pushed silver's price to the highest it's ever been. And then in 2011, obviously, we saw this leading up from 2008, from the credit financial crisis, recession, depression era, billions of dollars in stimulus getting handed out, all the way to $50 silver 3 years later. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. 2024 is going to be a very interesting year, and I hope you guys stick around, because I will be covering all of the news for you. I'll do the hard work for you guys, and I'll wrap it up into a package and even break it down and explain it for you as well. I know most of you guys do not need to be explained to, and a lot of you guys know just as much as me. I'm not trying to claim to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm sure there's a lot of people here that know more than I do. I just make videos and share the news to the masses, trying to push the agenda of how worthless the dollar is in an opportunity, an alternative where you can place your money into something that preserves its value and is a hedge against inflation at the same exact time, with opportunity to rise in value as well from an investment perspective. But silver is wealth itself. That's the whole point. I'm going to wrap this video up here, and remember, I do post daily, so make sure you subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, slayer@milesfranklin.com if you want to purchase silver. I just offer a safe place. You don't got to buy from me. Just buy somewhere. But I can offer you a safe place to buy, and I'll help you through it. If you need some, I guess, recommendations or whatever, I could help you. So yeah, anyways, love you all. Make sure you also check out my recent videos because I've been posting some pretty crazy stuff. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow or maybe later tonight. Peace.